my gosh, there we are.
Yeah, no good. Straight in there. Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Henrik, and welcome to this evening's live stream on how to stay motivated during COVID-19. So, we are once again talking about the C word, so COVID. But we can take it from a different angle. Talk about how to stay motivated, which is probably a little bit of a challenge for most people. So, we're going to be sort of looking at this from like a professional perspective and from a student perspective as well. But obviously, as COVID-19 guidelines are, instructed throughout most of the country, a lot of us will be feeling extra challenge at the moment, whether that's with your day-to-day job or with your university work, whether you're at college, whether you're at uni, so on. A lot has changed. A lot of it's unprecedented. A lot of it we weren't really prepared for. But things have adapted over time. And now, obviously, with the vaccine that is, sort of on the horizon, it looks like there might be a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. But I guess the pandemic itself has made teaching and learning extremely difficult. So we will be talking today just a few tips, and we'll hopefully be speaking to Alex about some of his protocols he's put in place to try and boost his morale and his productivity, as he's obviously currently a uni student. But just before we dive straight into things, I'm just going to introduce my colleague Ben.
Hello. Yes, I work with Henrik, and I think we, in the same sort of vein, I mean, we've had a similar sort of scenario where we've had to adapt our work into what is now, us sitting in these very small boxes and talking to people on the internet, whereas before we would have perhaps maybe actually spoken to people in person. We were just talking about, open days and how we actually miss getting up super duper early in the morning to work open days and actually speaking to people face to face, because that's the stuff that we used to sort of do. And moving into this digital platform, it was a challenge. It was an interesting challenge. It was an interesting sort of venture to start adapting certain things in our sort of world of work. But I think as time has gone on, it's sort of lost its novelty a little bit, and we are starting to struggle to stay motivated, and we have to find ways to do that and keep up with our day jobs and all of that. So hopefully we can impart on some of that today in this live stream.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Ben. And we're also joined by one of our students, Alex. So would you be able just to quickly tell us where you're from, what course you're doing, what year you're in, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, of course. So hi guys, I'm Alex. I'm a third year pharmacy student. So I'm originally from Lincoln, not too far away from DMU itself. But yeah, so I wanted to join this conversation today, as obviously third year tends to be one of the hardest years we have, especially on pharmacy as well. So staying motivated, as well as the challenge of studying, has really been a big one, as well as COVID. So hopefully we can have a chat today about some of the things I've been doing to keep myself going, motivated, and keep that work staying strong. So look forward to having that chat later on.
So I guess just to sort of get the ball rolling, how has our motivation been for the sort of last 9 odd months? Feels like forever, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Quite good, actually. I think, well, sometimes I think it's good when you've got certain tasks that you need to complete, and we've got access to all the tools that we need in front of us to be able to do our jobs anyway. A lot of the work that we do, fortunately, is very much just available through an email client and a web browser, and we can kind of do all of that. So I think that's been quite good. I think the biggest challenge in some ways is the lack of that kind of that routine. You've got to be at your PC for 9 o'clock. You've got to log in. You start work at 9 o'clock, but ultimately, there's no reason why you can't stay in your pajamas and sit on the sofa to do the same thing. And I think that's where you start to lose that routine, don't you? You're not getting up a bit earlier. You're not getting up, having a shower. You're not putting the clothes on. You're not driving to work. So I think that's where you start to lose that productivity, that motivation a little bit. But generally speaking, I think the tasks that we've been able to do has kept me kind of going. Doing these live streams on the regular has at least given me a sort of forward planning goal to always think about. So I think from that perspective, it's not been too bad.
Yeah, from a student perspective, I mean, we always find that with university, you'll have some days where you're fully motivated, you feel like you could tackle the whole course, and there's other days where you've not got that energy. And it's the same with COVID, and we found that definitely there's some days that you still wake up and you're like, right, I'm going to listen to these lectures, I'm going to do this coursework. And then there's other days where you do need to wind back down. And I think, again, it's finding that balance on actually how we get that and how we make it right for ourselves, knowing our own limits and the energy that we've got at the time.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, cheers, guys. It's really good to get your insight. I mean, I'm sort of in both camps. I mean, at times I feel super motivated, but then like, at the moment, you know, you're sort of waking up and it's dark, and you're finishing your working day and it's dark, and I think we're just sort of, you know, getting ready for the Christmas break now. But so I guess the first thing we're just going to quickly touch on is the importance of sort of goal setting and how that can really sort of improve your productivity. And then we'll ask Alex at the end if he's got any tips as a student. But I think the biggest thing and one of the most important things I just want to put across at the moment is that it is actually okay to feel unproductive at times. I think it's okay that maybe you're not feeling 100%, and you don't want to beat yourself up about this. Obviously, we're going through really, really tough and strange times, and you know, maybe it's taken a few months to adapt. Maybe you're used to it now, maybe you're not. That's absolutely fine. Just got to remember that, fingers crossed, things are going to go back to normal sooner rather than later. But one of the ways to sort of overcome that, you know, that sense of, you know, unproductivity or lack of motivation might be to set some targets, set some goals, set some daily wins that, you know, you're striving for each day, whether that's at work or whether that's with your college studies, you're at uni, whatever. Just try, you know, get on top of something, whether that's writing your UCAS application or finishing your coursework, doing your homework, that kind of thing. You know, take that small W, and you know, take a well-earned rest afterwards, which we'll discuss in a bit. But I guess, Alex, as a student, have you got any sort of goals? Did you go through any sort of systems or anything that you've sort of put in place?
Yeah, definitely. So obviously with university, we have deadlines like our coursework and then revision when it comes for our actual exams and then our clinical exams as well. But along the way, there's lots of different targets that I personally set. So whether it's within a module, whether it was a topic I understood and was like, I'm going to finish my notes today or this week and get that section really well understood. And then there's the other topics that you might want to spend a bit more time in. Again, those goals can be, I tend to break mine down into lots of tiny goals. So even if it's something like by the end of this week, I want a really strong understanding of this small topic within one of our sections, or just something like go away, have a break and come back and focus later on. And it's the combination of those mini goals that I found kept me going step by step, even if they've not been huge, massive, changing the degree kind of aspects.
No, thank you, Alex. And how about yourself, Ben?
I think it's sometimes really hard when you sort of going through that process, and I think, you know, setting yourself those goals is a really good idea to just kind of get yourself to. The amount of sticky notes and lists I've got just scattered around my desk at sometimes when I know I've got certain things that I need to be doing. You know, that sort of way of making sure that you know you're hitting certain targets and that you start to, you know, you've got certain things that you need to do. I think that's the only way that I've been able to combat the last few months, is just being able to make sure I know I've got what I need to do. I've got certain things I need to hit. I've got certain people I need to email. And that's how I've had to kind of establish that. But on the flip side of that, in some ways, it's made it really hard for me to differentiate between, like I said to you before, starting work, taking a break, finishing work, because I'm sort of like, well, I know I've got this list in front of me. I know I've got to complete it. So sometimes it can be really difficult to take those steps to make sure that you're planning at the right time, or you're doing things at the right time, because you're not in that environment where other people are sort of working around you.
Yeah, 100%. I fully agree with that. And for me personally, I've never been someone that sort of kept a diary or a journal or anything like that. But what I've started to do over the last few months is just write down things, whether it's on my phone or my calendar, just so that I know that I've got a little notification that comes with the morning that says this is what I'm going to do for the day. I found that to be really useful. So I try to keep myself accountable for, you know, all the stuff. You know, we're at home, working from home, you know, pretty much 24/7 at the moment. So little things like keeping the house tidy. You know, there's so much temptation there to maybe make yourself a coffee or something and then just leave your mug on the side. But to try and just keep on top of everything, it's the little things that just keep everything tidy. It's going to make you feel a little bit better in the long run. So I think sort of next, and I think something that's really, really important, and if you can, Ben, if you can lead on this, but just going to discuss the importance of actually taking a break and trying to avoid sort of burnout.
Yeah, I think that's super important. And as I said, I'm as a victim of this as anyone. And I sometimes think that talking about things that you're really bad at is either a really good thing or a really bad thing, because you can sort of learn from somebody's mistakes. Learn from my mistakes. take breaks when you can. Not all the time. Don't take a break every 15 minutes, but take regular breaks throughout the day just to keep yourself from burning out. And as I say, I'm a victim of this as anyone. So if you're going through that process of trying to complete an assignment or a piece of essay or a piece of coursework or whatever it is, try and set yourself sort of time limits of how long you're going to be sitting at your PC or you're going to be sitting at your desk or wherever. If you're going to use your phone to set a time or use your smartwatch, use I don't know, like a Google Home or whatever, and just set yourself like an hour's timer or something, and then give yourself those sort of 5-10 minutes to just walk around, do something, play with a pet, get yourself a drink, or as Henrik says, get yourself a coffee or whatever it is. Just get up out your seat, walk around a little bit, do some, yoga or exercises, just to give yourself that few minutes to let your brain settle, but also let your body start moving. Because it's not just about the burnout up here, but it can also be really mentally straining on your body. I think the amount of time I've spent sitting at my desk I've actually started to feel it sort of hurting my legs a little bit. So I've had to make conscious changes in the last month or so to start sort of correcting that. So it's really important that you start to think about those sorts of things. And equally, from the flip side, it can be quite easy to think that actually I am going to sit here and do work, but then you very easily get distracted by other things. So, there's other things sort of around you. You've got, PlayStation devices and phones, and you've got your desk in front of you that's probably got games on it or YouTube or whatever. So if you can set yourself that sort of time slot, whether it be an hour, whether it be sort of 40 minutes, give yourself that time to sort of focus on what you're doing, and then give yourself those little rewards at the end of it. If it happens to be, again, that yoga or that walk around or that YouTube video or whatever, it actually makes it a little bit easier to rationalize the tasks that you've got to do. So I'm going to spend half an hour, 40 minutes on this one task, but I'm going to reward myself with a cup of tea and the opportunity to watch a 10-minute YouTube video about cats or just something like that, because it's just an easy reward system. And it kind of tricks your brain into thinking, well, this task's not that big. It's only going to take me 40 minutes. And then I get to do something fun at the end of it. I really like gaming, as somebody has quite obviously pointed out in the comments, and I did buy myself a gaming chair because they were super comfortable working from home. So I find that if I'm not going to take like a full lunch break or something, I will spend like 10-15 minutes playing a game on my phone or just something like that to just kind of switch what I'm doing, switch my brain up. And I find that when I'm sort of scheduled into doing a task, when I'm like trying to write an email, if I've not taken those breaks, writing that email is so difficult because I just struggle to put words on a page or try to put words in this email. So just try and focus yourself around those times that you can concentrate, but make sure you give yourself those regular breaks in between so that you can at least just give your brain that time to settle a little bit. I think that's how I've kind of been working, and it's kind of worked for me. Obviously, everybody's got their own sort of different ways of doing it and different ways of working. And I found that some people that have been working from home have actually changed their sort of conventional 9-to-5 schedule to be something that's more in line with how they work. They'll do a little bit in the morning, they'll need a bit of a break, and maybe they'll work a little bit later because they know they're a bit more of a night owl. I know that I actually work an awful lot better at night. I just find that my brain starts to switch on at about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So for me, I find that actually I suddenly become a lot more productive at that time. And that's been really useful for me when it's come to stuff that I do from home. So if there's projects I'm working on at home, I find that I can't really kick my brain into gear to do those until much later at night. So don't pressure yourself into just trying to do everything, particularly during this lockdown. I've seen lots of people really pressure themselves thinking, right, I've got all this time at home and I can do loads with it. I can write a book. I'm going to start my own, I don't know, YouTube channel or whatever it's going to be. But actually, you need to give yourself that time to just reflect and go, this is a hard time. This is a stressful time. And working from home is actually quite stressful when you start to break it down. So in all of those different in all those different areas, give yourself that time to just chill.
Yeah, 100%. I think this whole situation is pretty stressful. And the last thing you want to do is be adding those extra stressors on top. So Alex, as a student, are you in that camp where you work, pretty much like a 9-to-5 schedule, like with uni work this is, or are you someone that would smash out, loads of hours in the library through the night? Are you, which sort of camp are you in?
I'm definitely a night owl on that one. I've tried doing the 9 till 5, and some mornings you just need that extra little bit of time left in bed. So, but Ben hit the nail on the head there, that actually it's very hard at home. And I'm sure people that are joining us that are doing college, sixth form, the same thing is being at home. There's no thing of, right, that is the end of my day. And that's something that I felt, especially quite early on, was I was finishing lectures and things online, and then I just kept doing uni work, and then it all piled on. So then the next day wasn't as motivated because I was tired from the day before. And that was something that you really have to work on. It's quite hard to correct yourself, but actually I've come up with a system now that I know I'm not as productive in the morning. So I'll leave my morning to relax, exercise, have a bit more social time communicating with friends. And then throughout the day, that's where I'll spread out a couple of lectures and then have a break and then a bit of my coursework, and really finding a structure that works for you. But again, mine tended to be later on, and in a normal year, I would be in the library, usually after dark anyway. So it's what works for you instead of just a conventional 9 till 5.
So without the library, have you managed to, do you feel sort of comfortable just sitting at home, still doing your stuff as if you were in the library, working late? You're okay doing all that sort of stuff? And
yeah, part of it is that we're still on the degree, we're still going to be assessed at the end of the year, so it's getting that work done. But I found that in the first few months, especially when say I was sat at my desk for lectures, I'd then go and sit in my living room for a practical online session. And actually that rotating around the room gave it sort of a bit of a new element of, right, I've taken that task is done. I'm not thinking about that. I'm actually focusing on this task now. And that separation was quite good. Like what I do in the library is I'd do some work at home or relax at home and then use that library space. And I think part of that, again, is utilising what space you've got, even if it's you sit at the end of the bed instead of normally on your bed, or you go and sit at your desk for a couple of hours. Just giving your brain a bit of something new instead of in the same exact environment all the time while you're working.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that is definitely something that I struggle with, and probably I'm still struggling with a little bit, to be honest. I feel like I've got a little home office setup going on at home, but I feel like I'm eating my lunch here, I'm eating my breakfast here, got my Xbox here. So if I do end up playing FIFA in the evening or whatever, I'm still in the same place I would be doing my work and whatnot. So yeah, it's a little bit, I think that's what I'm struggling with the most, really. Just everything is in the same environment. So I'm trying to make a real conscious effort of eating my meals at the dining table. It sounds silly, but it's just a way of sort of breaking up, this is when you're going to eat your lunch and you're going to eat it here, you're going to relax for half an hour, and then you go back to your work, which is upstairs or whatever. And that's something I'm personally trying to work on, because normally if we're in the office or whatever, I'm a firm believer in sort of leaving the office for my lunch break and heading into town, getting some steps in, that sort of stuff. And it's just something that I can't really do at the moment, and that is definitely something I found a little bit challenging, especially early on. So I think next point, I think something that's really, really important as well, actually, is staying social as much as you can during everything that's going on at the moment. And that is obviously a massive challenge, because hopefully if we're following government guidelines as much as we can, that kind of thing. So that will involve things like social distancing and things of groups of 6, and depending on what tier you're in. I mean, for myself, I'm not sure about you, Ben, but where I'm in Leicester, I've been in lockdown for the whole thing. I've not come out of it at all once. So yeah, it's been really rough, seeing other people being able to have a little bit more flexibility, a little more freedom, can't even go to a restaurant, that sort of thing. But just staying social as you can, and whether this is FaceTiming your family, online gaming, doing whatever. I remember at the beginning of lockdown, Zoom quizzes became a thing, and I think quite luckily they died off pretty quickly, I think, which is a good thing. But yeah, I mean, just because you're socially distancing doesn't mean you have to completely shut off socially. And I think having that social interaction is massively important, especially for things like motivation and things like your mental well-being as well, which is probably the most important aspect of all of this. So, if you can, schedule virtual get-togethers with, family, friends, through whichever sort of means of, camera or Zoom or whatever you feel necessary. But just try your best to have those conversations. And if you are feeling down at any point, do reach out and speak to the people that are near and dear to you. So same again. I mean, Alex, Ben, are you still doing that sort of stuff? Are you a Zoom quizzer, or
yeah, I spent spent too much time on Zoom, but still doing it. It's a great way of linking with people, and even when you are sat in front of a screen for university and work, it's still a great platform for actually doing that engagement. So obviously we use social media for messaging my mates that are going through the same situation at different universities across the country. So we find that even the people that were in Leicester with me that actually I couldn't really see because of restrictions, we're still having to do that social media more than what we would do normally when we could hang out in person. So I have been using Zoom and every other video platform possible, just to try and link that, because part of that thing with the motivation actually comes that sometimes you can be really motivated for work, but that's also the time that you want to reach out to friends. So it's that balance. But I found on days where I'm not as motivated, using my friends as support, and also just to help again with that mental health, and that's the most important thing with it. So yeah, I'll keep using it for as long as Zoom's around, and I can't see it disappearing anytime soon.
Now, Alex, are you in a society or a sports team at DMU?
Yeah, so I'm in a couple actually. So I'm one of the committee members for Pharmacy Society. So we've been linking some of our first year students with our older students. And when we started, obviously it was a weird experience for us last year finishing the term with the restrictions in place, but starting university has really been a huge change for our first years. So we found different ways of linking with the pharmacy schools themselves, but linking it with our pharmacy society and trying to bring as many people together and really build those networks that are so crucial, even on a regular year, let alone with the COVID situation going on.
So even during the pandemic, you're still managing to, do all your social stuff with your society, which is obviously, that's great. That's really, really important for a lot of people. Ben, are you staying social?
Yeah, I try to be. I think it is hard, and I have to be honest. I got sick of Zoom quizzes very quickly. But I've still been able to sort of chat with people, and even just last weekend, we did a sort of friendly get together, some friends over something similar to Zoom. We played some of the Jackbox games because they're good fun. This Among Us game that's been very popular of recent, we played some of that as well. So there's games that you can play, as you can tell. Like I say, I'm a bit of a gamer, but also even just sort of chatting with people and just being able to kind of jump onto a call and just chat with different people. There's different communities that you can sort of be a part of, and you can chat to people that way. So definitely get yourself involved where you can. There's lots of societies online if you're not part of a university already that you can sort of join and be a part of, and just sort of chat to people that way. So there's plenty of opportunity to kind of meet new people and be part of new communities. And if you are in that position where you are feeling a little bit isolated, the digital platform is really good. Obviously, you do have to make sure you stay safe on those platforms, but there's a lot that you can sort of get involved in online, and online gaming for me is the thing that has been quite good for that. I'm not big into sort of Call of Duty and FIFA and that sort of thing, but there's plenty of things that you can play online and sort of communicate with people that way. So that it's been really good from that perspective for both me and my partner, because we've been sort of stuck together for a few years. It feels like a few years. Sorry, feels like it. A few months, and that's how we've managed to kind of stay sane during this time.
You're lucky. I wish I could get Natalia to pick up the Xbox controller, but I don't think that'll be happening anytime soon.
No.
No, yeah, definitely. I think, no matter how long this goes on for, definitely try your best to stay social. And same again, if you any struggles, that kind of thing, just reach out to your friends and your family. I'm sure you'll always have someone that's there to speak to you. And it'll be the same if you are at school or college or at uni. There'll be various people in different teams that you can speak to if you do need that support. So one of the sort of final things I'm going to quickly touch on is sort of self-care and the importance of keeping on top of your mental health and that kind of thing. And Ben, are you okay to dive into this one?
Yeah, I can kick this off. So obviously one of the big messaging that has come out of this for those people that are sort of working from home or being asked to stay at home is going to be that sort of self-care side of it, particularly from the mental health side. And I've already touched on things about sort of not burning yourself out when it comes to your work. So if you are stuck at home working, taking those breaks and treating yourself well is already an important step towards the right direction in terms of that kind of focusing on yourself and that self-care. I've had a message from somebody that's watching, a colleague at work who says they do during their lunch break, they do, they take themselves sort of 30 minutes to play a video game, go for a walk, and I know that they do that really regularly. And I desperately wish that was something that I was willing to do. I know I definitely should. So have that sort of time to yourself, as I mentioned earlier, and try and dedicate yourself that time to do stuff, whether it be in the morning before school, before work, whether it be in the evening after work. Just say, right, this is it now. I'm drawing a line here and I'm going to go and do something that I enjoy, whether that be reading a book, whether that be doing whatever it is that is going to keep you happy. Just make sure that you just focus on yourself at some stage during this time, because as I say, each day is going to come with its own challenges depending on how you feel. If you are, as Alex said before, getting up a little bit later because you've worked your bum off the day before or whatever it is, just make sure you are giving yourself some time during those weeks to just kind of focus on yourself. Another big part for me, and I did mention this before, but another big part for me is just kind of getting up and getting dressed and having a shower, brushing your teeth. It sounds crazy, but I have to do that because there are days where I will just sit with my laptop and not do that, and I'll go, God, I really should have done that now. And that can even itself just go a lot of ways into just helping you feel like you've got that routine, and it can go a long way towards your self-care. The less said about the fact that I need a haircut and to trim a beard, the better. And that maybe should be part of my self-care routine. I don't know. But at the end of the day, these little things that you can do just to keep you feeling like you're having this sort of normal life and normal routine are really important. The biggest thing for me, and this is not going to be an option for everyone, is we adopted a kitten a few months back. She gets me up at exactly the same time every single morning, about 7:30. So I have to get up to feed her because she doesn't leave me alone. And that in itself has gone a long way towards restoring a routine that I perhaps lost during this lockdown. So if you can find something that's going to get you out of bed to do in the morning, that's going to go, again, just stepping in the right direction towards mental health. Don't give it. I know for a lot of people, staying indoors is going to be really important, particularly if you've been asked to stay indoors due to a quarantine. But if you have got the option to go outside, do it. Because again, months back, there were periods where I didn't need to leave the house. So I didn't, and that's not good. That is really not good for your mental health. It's not good for you in terms of the fresh air that you get from the ability to just kind of walk around, stretch legs. It does the world of good. So do yourself a favor and just take 5-10 minutes outside if you can. I know it's a bit chilly at the minute, but that again can just be a real benefit to you. And all the other things that we've talked about today, from allocating yourself time to speak to people, just drop your friends a message, drop them a phone call. People seem to be a lot more willing to pick up the phone than they used to be because of lockdown. So just, Facebook Messenger, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever it is, just drop somebody a call. I sometimes just randomly call colleagues if I feel like I just need to chat to somebody. And so far I've had nobody tell me off for doing it. So just do that. Just call people up. Tell them that you want a 5-10 minute chat. It will make you feel better. And it will just help you kind of get through this whole process.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Yeah, that's really, really good. Alex, is there anything you're doing in particular? Is that sort of your release at the moment, or?
So Ben covered lots and lots of options, but I think we've all tried different things that we know suit our personality. I'm not much of a gamer, so not really my kind of style. But again, that going outdoors when you can. Even if it's just a 5-10 minute walk. I used to not be a very big runner. I started running in lockdown, just pop into an area like a park, just to really give yourself a break. We said about staring in front of the screen and that sort of when do you define those limits? But even little things like I'll turn off my laptop, I'll put my headphones on and just put music on for half an hour and just give yourself a way where you're not staring at the same setup. Have a walk and just trying those different things that sort of work for you, whether you're a gamer, whether it's exercise, or you just turn everything off and just have a bit of time to yourself. And then you can have fun later on if you want to put on like Netflix is one of the go-tos of just switching off from work. And yeah, so that just trying different things, and there's no perfect combination. It's just you find you know what makes you feel better. So for me, those 10-15 minute walks, nice bit of fresh air, even if it is a bit nippy now, really clears your head, so that if you are doing work later on that afternoon, you're coming in with a fresh mindset, but you do feel better yourself, and that's really important.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, Alex, as you said, you didn't used to be a runner. You started running. This has been a really good opportunity to sort of pick up a new habit or a new hobby, or maybe try something new, whether it's running, speaking a language, that kind of thing. You've got this time that you can allocate to this sort of thing now, and it's only going to improve you when you come out at the end of it. And yes, for me personally, a massive thing is exercise. It's something I've always sort of done, played rugby, gone to the gym, that kind of thing. So trying to work out from home if I have to, when the gyms were closed. And similar to Ben, having a pet is actually something I never thought I'd be so appreciative of. Obviously, love my dog to bits, but having my partner's at work all day, so it's just me and my dog in the house all day. So just having somebody there, a little bit of company, I get to take her for a walk on my lunch break, that sort of thing. It's I really appreciate just getting outside now, which maybe I wasn't quite as appreciative as before. So definitely some positives, I guess, that will have maybe started to come from all of this. So I guess, that's kind of sort of most of the things we're going to touch on today. Nice quick stream for you guys. Ben, Alex, anything else you'd like to add, or anything you'd like to say, touch on?
No, can't think of anything. I think we've covered quite a lot. As I say, it's been quite a difficult few months. Trying to get that schedule was what was kind of important to me, and that's one of the hardest things. So if you can sort of do that, like I say, just getting up at a regular time or whatever, it just adds to that mental health state, and it's sort of tricking my brain into thinking that this is kind of okay and this is kind of normal, having that kind of routine. So me working till late isn't so good on those days that I have to do that, but at least I haven't got to sort of drive home afterwards. So I'm trying to look at it from the positives, I think, from that. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Just my final thing, and we've touched upon it a lot, and it's work is important. Whether it's school, college, university, the work that you're doing is important and needs to be done. But that will be done. You'll get through it. You'll keep working through it. But looking after yourself really helps. If you can get yourself so that you're looking after your mental health, your well-being as best as you can, that ultimately feeds back into that motivation, and gives you the energy and that passion to get back to that work and get it done.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And yeah, final thing for me, I guess, is same again what I touched on at the beginning. It is okay to feel unproductive. Things are pretty challenging at the moment. And if you're a student at the moment, whether you're at uni, whether you are in your sixth form school or whatever, you should be really proud of yourselves. You're going to be that generation that have had to study or get a job through a pandemic, through potentially tricky job market, that kind of thing. Maybe you've missed the opportunity to network through things like placements, stuff like that. So you should be immensely proud, if you've managed to stay on track, managed to stay positive, that kind of thing. And remember, things are looking up. I think we're sort of potentially, fingers crossed, coming towards the sort of light at the end of the tunnel now with the vaccine and that kind of thing. So yeah, just try your best to stay positive. And if for any reason, you do need to have a chat, just always shout out to the people, family, friends, and those that care about you. So I think that's pretty much it, I think. So yeah, thank you for tuning in this evening. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We've got loads of other live streams that you can catch on the webpage. So if you jump onto the DMU website, there'll be other live streams going on now before Christmas, and after Christmas we're going to have loads of taster sessions covering the different courses. So do make sure you check all of those out as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye.